Is this thing on? Oh, greetings from space. I'm just here to let you know, if you like any of our work for your own, go to Redbubble or Imprint to grab your very own prints or stickers. If you're looking to directly support this two-person team, a donation to our Ko-Fi is appreciated. Until next time, friends! For tonight's piece, we're going to be doing another portfolio project. I'm doing another movie poster, but this time it's fan art instead of an original concept. When balancing out a portfolio, it's good to have both when you're in my field of comic making. You want to show that you can create and match what already exists while still having your own spin on it. So today, we're going to be visiting one of my favorite horror movies of all time, Night of the Comet. This one is an old cult classic that was introduced to me by Pastra, a YouTube creator who also loves horror and art. I'll link that video below so you can give it a watch if you haven't already seen it. I watched this film for the second time for this artwork and I had a blast rewatching it. I'm going to go over the movie itself, so big spoiler warning for you guys going forward. If you do want to go watch it, Night of the Comet is up on YouTube. That will also be linked below. Go feast. Night of the Comet is a horror sci-fi film released in 1984, directed by Tom Eberhardt. The movie follows two teenage valley girls, Regina and Samantha, played by Catherine Mary Stewart and Kelly Maroney. Downtown LA is gearing up for the special occasion of a once-in-a-lifetime comet passing over. Their stepmother, played by Audrey White, tells both of the sisters that they need to come home for the party, but both teens have their reasons for not wanting to go. Samantha ends up getting in a fight with her stepmom and runs away, though we later learn she is out hiding in a steel shed for the night. Reggie, on the other hand, ends up sleeping with the film projectionist at the movie theater she works at. When Reggie wakes the next morning, the projectionist goes outside to hassle his buddy about returning a film reel he lent him. We watch as she spends the first part of her morning making sure her name is the only one on the arcade machine in the main lobby. When the projectionist doesn't return, and nobody seems to show up to the movie theater, she goes outside to investigate. To her confusion, she's met with clothes everywhere, along with red sand covering the streets of LA. She then has to deal with a zombie that ambushes her in the alleyway. Thanks to her dad's training, she's able to fend him off and ride away on a motorcycle. As she drives, the camera pans over the empty streets of LA, creating an incredibly eerie and liminal space. I know the term liminal is used a lot these days, but Night of the Comet is one of those films that really captures that odd feeling. The film regained some popularity during the pandemic because of the iconography being so similar to the events of the time. After the tour through an empty LA, we arrive back at the girls' home. It seems empty, much to Reggie's growing concern. It's then revealed that Sammy is perfectly fine. In fact, she's dressed in her cheerleader outfit for her practice that morning, despite no one from her team picking up the phone. The rest of the film follows these two sisters as they navigate zombies, a mall mafia, and evil scientists. Because of the low budget of the film, they had to get creative with what they were able to portray in order to get that feeling of isolation. For those empty shots of the streets of LA, the filming of the movie took place around Christmas time in the early morning. Nowadays, you'd have to pay the city to zone out a whole street. The director was creative in finding times when no one was around. This not only helped their budget, but was just good problem solving on the director's part. During the post-production, there was a concern within the team about the different genres the movie was falling into, balancing the horror and the comedy of the film. Here's Sammy's actor talking about it.
So that's there's that. And also, one producer thought we were doing a comedy and the other producer thought we were doing a serious zombie film. And Tom was just like, Tom. So sometimes somebody would say, why are you guys goofing around? This is serious. And then we'd shoot one that was more pulled back. Because it was film, it wasn't phone yet. It wasn't like this kind of, it was film. So I think that the one that was best was the one that got printed.
Yeah.
Sure.
At the core of this film, there's the horror of the situation and the funny moments between the sisters. And not moments that are funny because it's bad, but moments that are just so real for the situation the sisters find themselves in. Humor like that is just all the way up my alley. The film balances its realistic aspects and the comedy incredibly well for a movie on a $700,000 budget. As The Dissolve put it, very matter-of-fact acting and the way the writing treated the story is why I think a lot of fans love this movie and why it has the following it does even after all these years. For me, it's a classic zombie film, and on top of the stellar writing, it's just so gorgeous. I mean, look at these shots. Eberhardt says he was inspired by B-movies for this film, and you can just feel all the love and effort that went into its production. The iconic costuming alongside the filmmaking, it's just great. Whilst actor Kelly Maroney wasn't able to pick out her own outfits for Sammy, Catherine Mary Stewart actually picked out all of her clothes for the film. At the time of filming, Catherine was in her early 20s, close in age for her character, and it really shows with the outfits Reggie wears throughout the movie. For an 80s film, it treats its female protagonists fairly. Reggie and Sammy are both military brats in the film, which gives them this air of self-sufficiency. They take care of themselves because they have to. Their stepmother isn't interested in raising them, and their father is deployed during the duration of the film. I wouldn't say the two are nonchalant. They're very stoic about what's happening around them, a very so-what attitude. Despite this, the movie still shows empathy to the two of them, and how hard the situation is. It's the end of the world, after all. One of my favorite scenes is when the two girls are sitting next to each other, and Sammy is reconciling the fact that she won't see her high school crush ever again, and Reggie cheers her up by taking her shopping. It's a real sisterly moment that highlights their bond together. There's so many quotable moments in this film, you really have to watch it to see for yourself. My favorite moment are these two lines between the girls that were improvised when Sammy's Mac 10 jams.
Great. See, this is the problem with these things. Daddy would have gotten us Uzis.
The car didn't know the difference.
Alright, time to talk about the piece. For the movie poster itself, I grabbed my favorite shot from the film and mixed it with the official poster of the movie in order to create my own take. After doing some studies, which I showed off earlier and accidentally drew the wrong car, whoops, I got into the main piece. As per usual, I had some difficulties getting into the swing of rendering since the overall lighting is all red. This complicates things since it isn't as easy to paint as, say, midday lighting. The movie was shot on a lens that physically had a red filter over it, creating those iconic red skies. Recreating that in my artwork was difficult, and I feel like the colors only really came together at the end when applying some tonal corrections over top. My solution to this was very similar to the film's solution, painting the colors like they would have appeared in normal daytime. Then, I gave the lighting some airbrushed reds and made sure the highlight colors were towards red on the color wheel. After that, I layered a red transparent layer over top. I didn't end up fussing with the text as the OG posters had more of a plain font that I wanted to match in turn. Now, it's time for the critique. As always, we start with something good, then something that can be improved, and then another good thing. To start, I like the foreground elements. The shot that this was pulled from conveys information about the emptiness of the city, but because this is a movie poster and it's vertical, the viewer doesn't get that information, so the movie isn't spoiled with the poster, but you still get those same vibes. Something I dislike about the piece is the background. While I wanted it to be plain, I feel like it's a bit too plain and could have used some additional time. However, I like how the vehicles turned out. It's not something I draw or render often, so it was good practice to put that in here, and allows for another skill to be shown off in my portfolio. And here's the piece after my self-critique. Let me know what you think. As always, happy creating to all my creatives out there.